What's up, everyone? Welcome to this afternoon edition of Smores Indoors. I am Corey, your host, and today we have a very special guest. Sometimes we have to schedule these earlier to accommodate the guests, so that's what we do here. We are all about accommodation. So I want to introduce right now our special guest coming off her appearance at Days of the Dead in Indianapolis, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jessa Flux. Jessa, what's up?
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Super good. Super good.
Awesome. Great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, so I mentioned Days of the Dead. I was going to ask you, you're just kind of back from that. How was that experience for you? I know that was kind of your first time as like actress girl at the con, right?
Yes. I've actually only been to one horror con ever before that. And that was right before, I think, or right after I did Space Babes with Outer Space. And that was just like the tiniest part. Like I was just like waving. I was the Titty City welcome committee to the planet, like in outer space. So anyhow, I just kind of went because I had some friends that were getting into the horror scene as actresses, and they were like, "You should come. You know, we have a great time. We party." And so I went to that one, and I had a phenomenal time. So I was like kind of scared going into the Days of the Dead because like I'm as much as like I do acting and I'm out there in the public and a lot of my stuff is just like, look at me. I'm actually an introvert. So I was kind of scared that I was going to be like really overwhelmed by it. But, and it was overwhelming. I definitely like when the day I got back Monday, I just like sat and like scrolled on my phone all day just to kind of like calm down. But it was such a blast. Like I feel like I'm addicted to it now. Like I feel like it's something that I'm gonna want to do like every 2 months, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a cool experience when you've done work and you can meet fans that are excited about what you've done and
Yeah,
actually
for
talk to them
sure.
about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, that kind of Days of the Dead, it's like more about I feel like the classics as far as like horror is concerned, like Hollywood movies. So people are going and they're buying like Jason masks and stuff like that, you know, like so they're just like fans of like the big stuff. But it was really interesting and just like flattering to me that people were coming up to my table and just saying like, "Hey, I've seen this or I've seen that." Like, you know, like I'm so excited to meet you. And like they paid to take pictures with me. I was like, wow, like I was so, I mean, I was just, it was so flattering and awesome to be like kind of like known, you know, like that was so exciting. But also, you know, I met a lot of people where I was just like, you know, I'm really good at just calling people out like as they're walking by. Like if they have a shirt on I like or something, I'm just like, "Hey, where'd you get that shirt?" And then they come over and start talking to me, and then I'd be like, "I'm an actress. Here's my movies, and I've got all like glossies for sale." And like I made so many fans just being outgoing, you know what I mean? And just like trying to talk to people. People were like, they, you know, like I tried to dress nice and cute the whole time. So people were like, "Are you somebody?" And I'm like, "I am somebody. And let me tell you who I am." So I made a lot of followers during that like weekend. I definitely had like an influx of followers on my like Instagram, my Facebook page, and all of that. So super cool.
Awesome. Glad you had a great experience there. Shout out to some of the guys here in the chat: Dan Shine, Jay the Stingray, Sean McManus, all the way from Ireland. Thanks, Sean, for being with us. Bombastic reviews. And I know you guys got some questions. I'll kind of work them in as I'm going through the interview here, where they kind of fit best. So hang tight on those. One question I always ask every guest I have that when we talk about movies or things like that, I wanted to ask, what are some of your earliest memories of TV shows or movies that were your favorites growing up that were kind of big for you?
Big for me. Well, I was raised by the TV, to be quite honest with you. I'm an only child. And so there was literally nobody else to communicate with because, like, my mom was a single parent and she was working. And I was often just at my grandma's house, just sitting literally in front of the TV, just watching it. So, like, as far as like early stuff, like, I watched a lot of I got really into classic movies at a young age and classic shows. So I watched a lot of Nick at Night. Like, I don't know if you
Okay.
know what that is. That was
Oh
super
yeah.
cool. And then the was it Turner Classic Movies channel? Like, is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
TCM. That's it. Yeah,
Yep.
TCM. I would watch a lot of classic movies, and I feel like stuff like that. Like, I basically my personality comes from TV. Like,
That's
definitely
cool.
100%. Like, the things that I watched as a kid, like, I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be like that. And I would get so many ideas from TV. And then I would try to like build projects based on things I saw in a cartoon that's not real. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I couldn't tell you like very specific things. I was always obsessed with like Marilyn Monroe, like in early age. I just thought she had a way about like the way she moved her body and the breathy voice. And I always wondered like how would she talk if she was mad? You know what I mean? Like if you were having
Yeah.
a conversation with her in real life and she was just furious at you, like it wouldn't be breathy, and you know what I mean? It wouldn't be like
Yeah.
that. So like
Right.
I would always kind of like ponder like what were these people like in real life? You know what I mean? Like what kind of person was this that could put on an act and be another character even if they were having a bad day, you know? Like I would watch
Mhm.
Mr. Rogers and think, I wonder how he was doing that day. Like did he get up on the wrong side of the bed? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so that's just something like I don't know, like I kind of always wanted to be an actress, to be honest. Like, I just thought that was just so neat to be able to be a chameleon and to be whomever, you know, you were paid to be basically that day. Like, that's so exciting to me. And, you know, and it's cool that like those kind of people can just put whatever's going on in their lives out the door and just be somebody else. It's
Yeah.
almost like for me, and I imagined it would be like this growing up, but I always thought it would be like kind of therapeutic because like you don't have to like you it's almost like a like meditating. Like you don't have to think about like what is really going on in the
Right.
world or your life or anything else. You just have to remember your lines and you have to be that person as best you can be. And I don't know, like I always thought like, wow, that must be so cool.
Yeah, I have a similar had a similar upbringing because I was an only child too, and I feel like my I tried to build like a sense of humor based on like stuff from movies and TV too. Like I was using like Sophia from Golden Girls jokes and stuff to people, you know.
And how
So
did those land? Like
not as good as they landed for her in the show. So you
I
know,
would imagine, yeah, coming from a
like
kid.
7-year-old boys didn't know what I was talking about. So, but it is what it is, I guess. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit with you, and I feel like you were probably pretty early on with the whole 24/7 cam thing, weren't you? Or
Yeah, kind of.
kind of.
It, uh, I copied off of someone.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
there's nothing that I've ever done that's original. I'll just be honest with that. Like, everything that I do is me copying off of somebody else. So, I saw that there was this other girl doing it while I was growing up. There was a girl called Jenny Cam,
Okay.
and there was like a lot of talk about her. She was like even on like a late show, and they would ask her about it. Hers were a little bit different because it was like in the 90s. It was like a first it was just one camera. I've done like tons of research since then on like her and her process. But first it was like a one camera setup somewhere that would refresh like every 5 minutes, and
Gotcha.
then it got to every 1 minute, and then it was every 30 seconds, and then it like then you had to join her page to get an actual stream. Otherwise it would like do the update every 5 minutes or whatever on her like free page or whatever. So I
Right.
always thought that was really cool. Like I think being an only child, I like never wanted to be alone. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's almost like I definitely am like a person that loves attention. Like I'm that's some people think it's weird or they think it's something to be ashamed of, but like it is who I am, and like I just accept it. So I kind of just wanted to just feel like I was never alone. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so like with that, I started with one camera, and eventually at the top of my game with that, I had 12 streaming cameras all throughout my house at all times. All of them had sound except for the shower cam, just because you can imagine why would you want the shower cam to have sound all the time? You know what I mean? But they all had sound, and I loved it. Like, people talk to me about that all the time. And they say, like, when are you going to do that again? Well, first of all, like, the technology has changed so much. You know what I mean? Like, so it takes a lot more to broadcast. Even whenever I was doing it, people were like, well, why is that? Why are your cameras not HD? And I'm like, well, I have 2 internet connections. I have like a very high speed one that's for a business. And that's what I run my cameras through. And even with that, the best you can do is standard definition. Like, there was no way to do, like, I would only be able to do maybe one high def, high, quality camera, like HD, at a time. So, like, to do that now, like, I'm not even sure it's possible, but I've been looking into it again lately because I really want to do it. Like, I loved it. And for a while there, the reason why I got away from it is because I started going to college again. I started to just get outside the house more, and it just wasn't as worth it. You know what I mean? Like, it would just be like, okay, the cameras are on, but she's like at school, all day. So, but now that I'm basically working from home, studying lines, and doing all that, like, just taking care of, like, updating my pages and all that stuff. I'm at home a lot more, so I'm kind of like trying to figure it out. Like, I'm trying to figure it out with like IP cameras or whatever, but I'm actually in the works. I'm talking to somebody right now about figuring that back out, because I loved it and people loved it. Like, people loved watching me read a book. Like, it was, flattering. You know what I mean? Like I said, like, it's just like for the people that want to, like, be a part of my life and see what I'm doing and see the conversations that I'm having, or hear the conversations that I'm having with my friends that are over and all of that. And there was other stuff too,
Yeah.
but but
it was undressedjess.com. So
yes. So you can imagine that there were other things going on. But I found that the people that were the most diehard followers of the spy cams were just people like me, and they didn't want to be alone. They just wanted to have somebody in the background that was playing on their camera or on their computer, where they could just peek in and see what that person is doing, or hit them up and be like, hey, I see you're like working on that puzzle again. Like, that's really cool. Just anything. I think people in general just want a connection.
Yeah, I agree with that. When you first got started with that, were you instantly comfortable doing it, or did it take a little time to kind of get comfortable with, like, oh, I got all these cameras going?
Well, whenever I first set up my, like, first spy camera, as I called it, I had been doing live shows on my website every once in a while. It wasn't like regularly. I didn't do them every week even. But I was starting to get used to being in front of the camera. Like, right now, being in front of this camera, like, I'm so not used to it anymore. Like, I'm like picking at my hair. Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? But I had kind of gotten comfortable sitting in front of the camera and talking to people that were members. So whenever I set it up, I just didn't even think much of it. There were people, however, friends of mine that would come over and they'd be like, oh, do you have the spy cams on? And, out of respect for them, like, I would either turn them off, or if they just wanted the sound to be off, like, so we couldn't hear, they couldn't hear what we were talking about or whatever, I would do that. So I would respect people's, like, privacy and stuff like that. But, I didn't have any problem with it at all. Like, I loved it, to be honest with you. Like, I liked that. I liked the spy cams better than doing the live shows, because with the live shows, you have to pay attention to what's going on in the chat room. Like, you can get carried away with what you're talking about or what you're doing, and you kind of miss stuff. But with the spy cams, there was a disclaimer that said that, like, I'm not watching the chat room. Like, this is, solely to just watch what I'm doing. Enjoy yourself. If you have any questions, email me. You know what I mean? So I preferred it.
Awesome. Any awkward moments that you can talk about that kind of came up during that time?
As far as just like the spy cams go, or
Yeah, just funny stories,
yes,
maybe something like that.
yes. Sometimes people would be really rude and demanding because they wouldn't understand that they were just kind of like spy cams. You're a fly on the wall. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're just supposed to be experiencing what this person's life is like. It's not a show.
Right.
So I would have this one guy that was like obsessed with flexibility, right? And I'm very, very flexible because like I'm a trained dancer and I can like put my leg behind my head right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so he would be like, hey, since you're just sitting there watching TV, can you do it like in a middle split? Like, I'm totally clothed. It's nothing like creepy or anything. That's just his likes. You know, that's his thing that he likes. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, you know, like, I'm not doing that unless like you make it worth my while. Like, if you like, because there'd be people that would, my wish list was popping back then, my Amazon wish list. So people were sending me stuff all the time and they would get a kick out of watching me unpack the gift on the spy cam. So I'd be like, if you are sending me gifts or you're sending me tips or anything like that, like I'd be more likely to do what you're asking. But he was so cheap, like, and he just wanted what he wanted at that time. And that guy drove me crazy. And he would like rejoin my site all the time, expecting something different. Like that all of a sudden I'm just going to like just be playing a video game with my leg behind my head or something. I'm like, I'm not, but you know, you gotta like, you know, scratch my back and I'll scratch yours type of thing. Like you got to give me a little something for what you're asking. And then sometimes there was an emergency alert that I had on the spy cams. So I had the like normal sounds turned off. So if people would talk in the chat room, it wouldn't like wake me up or disturb me while I'm watching a movie. But like if it was an emergency, I had this thing that was like, wow, wow, like it would make this crazy noise. And it was like an option for you to push it. And I reserved that to be there because sometimes people would join and it would just be a simple, like, I don't understand how to access your videos. Like, how do I download them to my computer or whatever? Mm-hmm. So I would like have that on there for questions that, you know, like tech support basically. So I could go over to the main, cause I had several different computers running these cameras. Like I think 4 or 5 at most, like just all going at the same time. It's very expensive to run these cameras, especially with like the extra internet line, the business line and all of that. But some people would abuse that alarm and they just be like, can you take your top off or something? And I'm like, no, like, did you not read? Like, there's a paragraph right here before you even get to the cameras that you have to read that makes you understand like what these are for. Like, and at that time I was even doing shows 5 times a week on my site. So an hour a day pretty much through the week, like Monday through Friday. So it's like, I'm doing so much. Like, I feel like sometimes with that kind of thing, like people just want you to give, and they don't understand like you're doing the most that you possibly can. Like I said, this kind of thing is like really hard work.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know your old site is still up. Or is your content still up there for people that are interested in checking some of that out?
Yeah, definitely. The spy cams are not up though. I do want to say that.
Right.
I would like to get a better landing page that kind of explains that it's an archived site basically now, that I am not uploading anything new. But the content is still high quality. It's still available. But you don't get the spy cams, you know what I mean? So if I were to, like I said, I'm working on getting the spy cams again. I think that I would make a whole different page entirely just for the new ones. Rather than putting it on the old page, because then I'd have to like update with all my new stuff and that would be like, too much to do. So I'd rather just like continue to do like my OnlyFans and then have a separate page for the spy cams, because again, the people that were interested in that, it seemed like people joined my page back then for different reasons. Some people were really into videos, some people were really into pictures, and then some people were the diehard spy cam fans, you know? So I think I just want the spy cam fans back, you know? Like that's because you can see all that other stuff on OnlyFans now. So it's like, that's how I would do it. But yes, it is still up, and it's just basically an archived site, and you can kind of see like kind of where I came from, kind of the like I mean, I like old grainy webcam videos. There's a lot on there. And then of course I started shooting in 1080p, but there's a lot of stuff just from the beginning of me starting that, and it's kind of fun to go back and look at that, I think. So I'm going to leave it up as long as people are joining it, and I still get joins every day. So
awesome. It's good to hear. It's cool to see that you're thinking about maybe doing that again down the road here. So I guess this is a good time to mention that content, OnlyFans, and all of Jessa's links you can check out at jessadositall.com.
Yeah.
It's kind of the one stop for everything. So everybody check that out for sure. So I kind of want to go to kind of the film work stuff you've been doing now, and but I want to start first and talk about horror movies. And have you always been a horror fan? And if you have, what are some favorites?
Well, I'm a movie fan. Like I said, like I grew up on the TV, so I love watching that screen, you know what I mean? So I've always been a movie fan in general. So I never, when people ask me that, they say like, "Are you a horror fan?" I'm like, "I'm a movie fan." So like I never thought like I would never say like I'm a drama movie fan, you know what I mean? Like, or I'm a comedy movie fan. Like I'm a movie fan. So if it entertains me, and there's all kinds of way to entertain, you know what I mean? There's like I mean all my movies are not Hollywood, you know. So like they're considered B movies, but there's different grades of B, you know. So like some of them are just very silly, and they're self-aware. They know what they are. You know, like I'm in Shark Exorcist 2. I mean, that's an example of something that's like, it's very self-aware of what it is, and it's very silly, and it's very fun. And then I work with some directors that they're doing their damnedest to make something Hollywood quality, and they're very serious about their shots and all of that stuff. So I work with people that are like all over the board. As long as I have a good time, I enjoy the script, and it's, you know, doesn't cross any boundaries for me or raise any red flags, I will participate, as long as I'm being paid, you know what I mean? Because everybody does deserve to be paid for their time. But my favorite horror movie or scary movie is Ju-on. It's like The Grudge, but it's the Japanese version. The one with like, I think it's Sarah Michelle Gellar. That's the American version. It's not good. Like it's not it at all. But the first time I saw Ju-on, I was scared to walk down the hall to use the bathroom. Like that movie scared the bejesus out of me. Like I love ghost movies. I like grudge movies. I like Satanist, sort of like any movies about Satan. I don't know if that's a category. But like for some reason I enjoy that. Probably because I grew up like Baptist. So it's like, it kind of hits home. And then I like possession movies. So those are like my favorite of the horror genre. Like anything that like about possession, anything about like a Satan or a demon, or like Poltergeist is great, you know what I mean? Or I don't know, like stuff like that. But I'm not really I'm not like a huge zombie fan, you know, like I just, it's not scary to me. It used to be though. I will say, like, I used to be totally afraid. I like have nightmares about zombies. But now, like, if somebody asked me to be in a zombie film, like, I'd be like, gosh, that's a lot of makeup. Like, you have to like really put on the prosthetics. Like, you got to have like a limb that's fallen off that you're like dragging behind you. And that seems like a lot of work. But those have kind of fallen off recently, haven't they, though?
Well, I feel like, you know, The Walking Dead just killed that whole genre for a while. You know, it was so oversaturated. So
that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And in terms of just being a movie fan, I think, you know, movies are kind of based on your mood at the time. You know, sometimes you need that comedy to make you feel better or whatever, you know. So I totally agree with you there. Sticking with horror though, let's do a little hypothetical here. Let's say you could be cast in any major horror franchise, what would you choose? Which franchise?
Scream.
Scream. Okay.
Scream. Yeah. Love
I
Scream.
could see that. I could see that.
Uh,
You may only get this joke, but I would cast myself as the Candyman of Jimtown, if that makes sense to you.
what would the backstory
I
of the
don't know.
Candyman of Shiptown be? Like,
I don't know.
I would love to know that.
It's the distinguished guy of the white trash community. So I don't know.
I do love Candyman. I will say, like, I've never seen the new one yet because I don't know. I just wait until things die down sometimes to be able to like really enjoy them. But the original Candyman, what the hell, like, dude, like that was so scary. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's
kind of like a curse movie too. Like that falls into that whole curse genre where it's like, or like a what is like a vengeance, like something happened to somebody and then they're coming back to get vengeance. Like that's what I consider curse movies. So I love stuff like that.
my buddy Dan here was talking about the new Candyman. He says it's a piece of shit, but I kind of liked it. So it's kind of a love or hate from people.
A lot of people I respect really liked it. So I think I will like it, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I would say check it out sometime. So
I will.
Anyway, I've got this beautiful new Blu-ray from Culture Shock. Cannibal Hookers here.
Awesome.
With someone familiar on the back there.
That's me.
So talk about this movie. Like, I know I've kind of heard the story, but how did that casting come about for you?
Okay, that is the weirdest. I'm so glad it happened, but I still don't really understand how it happened. So I had been in that movie, Space Babes from Outer Space with that tiny part, right? Mm-hmm. And I also did the extras, which are really cool if you get your hands on that DVD ever, or that Blu-ray. There are it's like you can make your own striptease adventure. So you can like pick what the girl wears, and in the movie, like you can tip the girl with chicken nuggets, like on the stage. And so like I did stuff like that for it, but I did not get paid for that movie. It was like friends of mine that were putting it together, and it wasn't a real part. You know what I mean? It was just such a small part, and I was just doing the extras. So they were just like, hey, if you want to be a part of this, like we can't pay you, but you'll get exposed to other directors because people watch our stuff. And I was like, okay, like I didn't know, like, you know, better or anything, but I'm still glad I did it. Don't get me wrong. But now I definitely would not ever work for free unless it was like for David Lynch or something, you know what I mean? But he could pay for sure. But anyhow, so I thought that Donald Farmer found me from Space Babes from Outer Space. I just assumed. And he hit me up on Facebook and he was like, hey, do you want to be in a movie? You know, I can send you some of my other movies so you can kind of see like what kind of content that I create, and see if it might be something you're interested in. And my number one question is, will it pay? And he was like, absolutely. You know, so I was like, cool. And I checked out his movies and I was just like I said, he's a horror director that's very kitschy and like self-aware that what he is making is fun and like silly and sometimes gory and gross, but also like just fun, you know? So he was just so polite to me and I was like, yes, I will do your movie. And I think that I made the mistake of saying like I was afraid to do lines on like screen. So he basically made my part silent. Like I'm basically like telecommunicating with my minions, which are my hooker minions that bring me their johns so I can eat, so we can eat them together. But yeah, no, I asked him if he found me from that movie kind of recently, and he said that no, he just like I popped up on Facebook and he was just like, this girl looks like she should be in a movie. And I was like so flattered by that because he says that people, because he's rather well known, he's been making movies since the 80s, that people contact him all the time. They're like, can I please be in a movie? And they work for free. Like they will be in his movie just to be in a Donald Farmer production for free. And he asked me and he pays me, and I'm like, wow, thank you. Like, but that's kind of how it happened. He just like fell across my page on Facebook and just kind of reached out to me, and it worked out. And from there, since so many people know him, so many people saw that movie and they're like, oh, she's, hot or whatever. And,
Yeah.
I think a lot of part of like being in this like indie horror industry is having the right look for sure, but
Mhm.
also being a person that's reliable, because sometimes people are not reliable. Like I found being on sets that sometimes people are just like, well, I got a new job yesterday and I'm starting today, so I can't show up. It's like,
Right.
what? Like, you didn't tell your job, like you had a commitment. Like, I just don't understand that kind of behavior, and I don't stand for it. Like, I'm not flaky. Like, I will always be there and I will always know my lines, and I'm always like a good time. And
Yeah.
so I think that like just having a good attitude and being professional, even though it's like indie, being professional goes a long way. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of how it happened. He just like pulled me into a movie. Other people saw it, and then now I'm being booked out the wazoo, and I'm so grateful.
It's awesome. I think it's kind of cool. Some of his stuff is getting kind of distributed through Vinegar Syndrome, which I did want to share this real quick. Um, this, well, let me try that again. There are only 75 copies left on the Vinegar Syndrome website of this Blu-ray.
What?
So everyone, if you want to copy that, make sure you get out there
Absolutely.
and grab that one. So actually, two movies on that Blu-ray. So
Yes, there's two movies on that. I just want to touch up base on about that for a
sure,
second.
yeah,
The person that's on the cover, like if you open that up, I'm on the Cannibal Hookers cover. Um, but my friend Casper Melted Hair is the other person that's in the other movie, and she's on the cover, and she's super cool and super laid back, and she collects VHS and she loves horror, and that's kind of how she got into it, is like by contacting Donald and being like, hey, can I be in a movie?
awesome.
So definitely check her out. She is super cool, and she also does like OnlyFans, and I'm actually shooting with her and a couple of other girls that do indie horror and also have OnlyFans this weekend in Illinois. So that's going to be really exciting. But yeah, I just got some more copies of that movie to be able to sell at my next con, because I sold completely out of them in days.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
awesome. I'll show this under the slipcover too. It's
That's me.
yeah, so awesome. Um, when you went into that role, obviously you'd done a little bit with Space Babes, but were expectations for you different than what actually took place when you were shooting?
I didn't know what to expect, to be quite honest with you. Like, I had seen his other movies, and so I knew that they were B horror movies. So I knew that. But whenever I got on set, like, Donald is so accommodating. Like, he had all the, like, he's like, what kind of food what kind of snacks do you like? And he had all the snacks, like, that I
Mm-hmm.
requested. And he was just so kind. And it was such a good time. I was so nervous, though. So I'm kind of glad that my first acting roles, I guess, in movies were silent. Like, I was like waving and
Yeah.
babes, and in this one it was like more of like I was just like giving people like sultry looks, and they were supposed to know what I was saying, stuff like that. So I'm kind of grateful for that, because it broke me in, and it like got me used to just being on set with a camera in front of you, and like working when it said the director says action. Like, it got me used to that. But there was a moment um on screen where I was like I think eating like a kidney or like it was like some body part, and my minions were like, I was like feeding them the body parts, and I made eye contact with this girl, Kasia, who also does horror movies for Donald, and she's a super hot, just cute, awesome girl. And we made this eye contact, and like I got this feeling that it was real. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but I was like, no, she's like my minion, and I adore her, and I'm like, she's brought me this food to eat. Like, I'm like the queen bee of the cannibal hookers, you know what I mean? And like,
Right.
in that moment, I got such a dopamine release, like such a high from like that eye contact, and all of my anxiety and fear just diminished. Like, it was gone. Like, and I felt like after that moment, from then forward, which there wasn't much more to film at that point because we were getting pretty bloody, like I was like addicted. Like, I knew that like this was something that if there's an opportunity for me to do this again, like I didn't know how to. Now I know kind of how to seek out movies and seek out projects, but at that time I was like, if the opportunity arises, like I'm on it. Like, I want to do this again. I want to feel that feeling. I want to have that. I need that feeling. It was like the big, you know, you can feel dopamine release when you're listening to really good music, or you're buying some shopping, like going overboard with it. You can feel that release. You know what I mean? That good, like, ooh, yes. Like, and it was the best hit of dopamine I've ever had in my life. And I'm going to seek it out for as long as I possibly can. Like, it was amazing.
Awesome. Had a question here from Dan.
Okay.
Have you watched the original Cannibal Hookers, and what were your thoughts on that versus the remake?
I have watched it, and I definitely love the 80s like horror genre, made for, it's like straight to video, I think is what it's called, or you know what I'm talking about. And
Yep.
I feel like that falls in that category, and I loved it. Like, I probably love it more than the one that I'm in. Like, not to like discredit the one that I'm in, because that was really a fun project, and I love the way it turned out. And like, all my friends have seen it, you know what I mean? Like, and they're just like, that's crazy, like that you were like a part of that. But anyhow, I think that maybe I love that 80s aesthetic even more than anything that I can possibly do. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's exciting and sexy, and I just love the aesthetic of the 80s.
Yeah.
So I love the original Cannibal Hookers.
Awesome. Well, you know, the 80s were like a decade of excess and all that good stuff. So,
For sure.
so
The
I
hair
love
was
stuff like
big.
that. It kind of reminds me of American Psycho. You know, kind of the feeling in that where it's everything's money and, you know,
Yeah, for
kind of
sure.
cool. So, well, you did mention Space Babes from Outer Space, which I've got that too.
Ellie
We've
Church
actually
is
we've
on the
actually
cover.
interviewed Scott Shermer on the channel before, who helped produce that with Brian. What was your experience like working with Brian and Scott?
Well, like I said, it wasn't a lot, but everything that I was nervous. I'll be honest, like I had never done anything like that before, so I was shaking, and I was just like praying that it didn't really transfer on the screen. Like, I was like, I don't know, I was just so nervous, you know what I mean? But I was just like doing it. A lot of times, like I'm kind of this like seeker of new experiences. That's kind of who I am as a person. So like, I did it to see if I could do it. Like, when they offered it to me, I was like, I want to see if I can do this, because my friend Alice, who's on the cover of Space Babes from Outer Space, along with Ellie Church,
Yeah.
she and I worked together. We danced together at a club in Bloomington, and she had been telling me that she had been participating in being in horror movies. And I just, when she would tell me the stories about it, I would think like, could I do that? Like, could I emote in front of a camera? Could I put on a different face in front of a camera? And so I did it basically, and I was totally copying off of her, and I've told her that, to see if I could do it. And like, it was a great time. Like, and I love, they were so like complimentary. Like, everything I did, they were like, oh, I really like that in pose that you did just there. Like, that was it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was really cool. Or I like the way you reacted whenever those chicken nuggets were thrown at you, or you know what I mean? So they were really kind. And I love Brian and Ellie. Like, I just saw them recently. I went to Atlanta just to what did I go to Atlanta for? I travel so much, like I don't even know what I go anywhere
Right.
for anymore. But I met up with them, and I ended up doing some shooting with Ellie for our OnlyFans. And Brian did the video, and it's beautiful, beautiful work. But I just love hanging out with them because they're just such good people, and they're just so positive. Like you never hear them like just talking bad about anybody or just being like, well, you know, woe is me. Like they're just always just like really positive and creative. Like I wish I could have 1 ounce of Brian's creativity like in my bones. Like that's why I'm an actress. Because I can take other people's creativity and make it a reality. And in that way I can be creative by like turning out their ideas. But like for as far as like coming up with like the way he shoots stuff, I don't know if you've seen other movies or have you seen Space Babes?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, it's cool, right? Like it's super,
Yeah.
I think it's super cool. And like how did he come up with that stuff? Like how on earth did he come up with that? And like the way he shoots, I've seen other things that he shot and it's just like it's beautiful. Like he's so talented. So I had a great time. I had a great time working with them.
Yeah, he's talented, and man, I really think Ellie's a really great actress.
She is phenomenal. Like she is straight up like I look up to her because she's been doing this longer than I have. And also like when I see her in movies, it's just so natural. Like it's so absolutely natural. And it seems like it doesn't take effort. Like I'm sure it does. I've never asked her what her process is. And I've actually been thinking about asking her lately because I don't know, she's been on my mind. I bet she's been on everybody's mind. But she's been on my mind lately. And I kind of want to ask her like what her process is when she develops the character and processes the script. Like I have my way of doing things, but I'd love to hear what her process is. And I'd love to know like when did she get involved in acting? Cause she's so good at it. Like she's so natural, like I said. So yeah, I think that there's a lot to be learned from her.
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually skipped one of my questions about cannibal hookers, and I wanted to ask you, were there a couple things that you took away from that experience that you've kind of carried with you into the future stuff that were big lessons you learned?
Be on time. So I was totally late to that set, and I'm embarrassed to say that. But we shot in Lexington, and like we had to like completely reroute because of the like where maps was taking us. There was like this water like in the woods that was like hugely high, and we had to like it like took like 45 minutes more to get around it.
Wow.
Like it was insane. So now I try to be early. You know what I mean? Early is on time. I'm not an on-time person. I'm surprised I made it on time today, to be quite honest with you. It's just not who I am as a person. But whenever you do projects with other people, you're like, you have to take into consideration that they've taken time out of their day and to do this project, and you want to show up and you want to be respectful of that time. Right. So that definitely I picked up. The other thing is have you seen it?
Yes.
Okay, so you see that I'm laying in a coffin.
Yeah.
Okay, that is so uncomfortable. Like I know that they don't make those for people to go to their final resting place to be comfy because they're not feeling anything. But when I tell you, like, it's like something like that was sticking up like in my shoulder blades, and then there's something on your head, like pushing it forward. That was so uncomfortable, but like, and I'm scared of death. Like I'm deathly afraid of death. And so just having that closed, like I had to like talk myself through it. Like I was like, it's fine, Jess. Like, you're not dead yet. You're not this isn't your final casket. It's a real casket though. Like, and that was really kind of scary for me, like for sure. Like, now that I've done it, like, I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, but I bet other people would have the same kind of anxiety about being in a casket too.
I think everybody has that fear, of the end. So
yeah. Cause I mean, it's like, I'm never gonna actually see this in real life because I'll be dead, you know. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Hopefully.
all these emotions going through your head. Like it's pretty terrifying. But and then the other thing is that I was just so impressed at the talent of the other like the actors that were in the scenes that I was in. Like I was like, how it just made me want to be better. You know what I mean? Like how do they really make it look like they're struggling, or like, because I mean I did a little bit of drama and stuff like growing up in high school, but I'm not a trained actress, you know what I mean? Like I mostly growing up, like I would be involved in musicals because I was a trained dancer, so I could dance and I can sing, so I do like the chorus and stuff, but I never took on lead roles, and so I don't have that like learning experience, but I feel like I'm picking it up now, just like on the job. And so I feel like every project that I do, I take something home from it. Like I just did a play audition last night and I didn't get picked, you know what I mean? But like I took so much home just from the experience of auditioning from the play that it's like it's invaluable. It's like so great just to be around people that are talented and see how they use the space, how they use their bodies, etc. So I feel like with every project that I do, I figure something else out, like about lighting or whatever, you know what I mean? Or ways to cheat things. Like I was on a project that is called Satan Lives, The Rise of the Illuminati Hotties. And they did I think it's called a dowel shot. What is that where it's like, dee, it goes like that?
Dolly.
Dolly, yes.
Yeah.
Dolly. So they did this thing called a poor man's dolly, right? Okay. And it's like literally an office chair where somebody holds the camera and then another person like runs them through like the space, like, and it's just like walking them through as they're holding it still on this office chair with wheels. And it's like, that's so cool. Like, and the shot turned out friggin' amazing. Like, I just love learning little cheats like that from not only just like the actors and figuring out their processes and getting better with like people have taught me how to memorize things easier, stuff like that, but also like the behind the scenes, like how they like the crew figures things out to make it work on a level that's like higher, but it's like you have no idea that it's office chair that's running through a space, you know what I mean? Right. So I always pick things up for sure.
Awesome. I wanted to go back real quick. I'm kind of jumping around here, but Bombastic Reviews had a question here about Scott Shermer, and actually wanted to know if you'd seen his movie Found, which we kind of...
I have not.
Yeah, it's kind of a masterpiece, so if you can
really
check it out, I would check it out. So really well done. All right, so you've got a lot of other stuff you've been working on. Like you're talking about Shark Exorcist 2 and some other stuff, including I want to mention Voorhees Night of the Beast, which people can watch that on YouTube now. So
for free, yeah.
And the link is in your
and Jessa
does it all, yeah. So, but from your other projects you've worked on, what are some of the favorites you've done?
Well, gosh, like I feel like every project I work on is so different, and like I can't just pick one or two, but I will say that the most fun that I had on set was the embalmers. Like it's somebody that I had that's local. She's from Indiana. Her name is Rebecca Reinhart, and she was the director and she co-wrote the story with her sister. And I was recommended to them from Donald Farmer, and for a small part where I just die, right? Like that's just it. And so they met me at an Asian buffet and we went out to eat, and they loved me so much. They just liked my personality so much that they built me a bigger character based on what they were hiring me to do, that death or like the torture scene. And I ended up not dying. Thank you. But yeah, so that was just so fun because all the personalities on that set, like after we'd wrap for the day, they'd be like, all right, let's watch this. Who's seen this horror movie? And so we'd watch that, or we'd watch other people's like projects that they brought the like copy, like the physical copy of, or we could like watch it streaming. And we just like were able to talk about like other projects that we were in. And I feel like I got like a whole education in horror just from watching it with all these other people on set. And I just fell in love with everybody. Like it was just such a great experience. Some of the other experiences that anytime I get to make out with somebody a little bit, I'm just like, oh, it's like physical contact. Like, so I always enjoyed that. That gives me like butterflies in my stomach. But yeah, no, I love so many of my projects. Like they're all so different, and I really enjoy being able to be serious but also be funny. Like if I get a chance on a project to be kind of like goofy, then that's kind of the best. Like for Shark Exorcist 2, I get to be pretty bratty and funny. Like, and that's gonna be I can't wait for people to see that one. And also the other one that I get to be pretty funny in, that Donald hasn't put out yet, is Bigfoot Exorcist. And that one's going to be quite good. But you know, the whole thing with post production is waiting for the like, you know, movies to come out. Some people are really fast with it, and other people, you know, they're doing other kinds of jobs and they have a lot of going on in their lives, and the people working for them have a lot going on. So it's just like there's a lot to it. But if I had it my way, I'd be like, all right, we've wrapped. Like, let's get that movie next week. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to see it because I'm so proud of my work. I'm really proud of my work that I did with Debbie Does Demons. Just recently I wrapped. I'm not sure if the whole movie is wrapped, but I play a 300-year-old witch that gets summoned, Ouija board play, you know what I mean, back from the dead. And then I'm like this hot witch, and I kind of get to talk in like slightly old Englishy talk, you know what I mean? Like classic, it maybe a little bit transatlantic, you know what I mean? But I get to talk different and old timey, and I get to turn people into demons, and I'm actually super proud of my work with that one. Another one I'm really proud of, just my acting, is Reunion from Hell. I shot that one in Louisville, Kentucky. And I got pulled into that project kind of last minute. There was somebody else that was supposed to play that role. There was a lot of miscommunication, I think, with the casting and stuff. So they were scrambling to find somebody to be Paige, and Paige was the character that I played. And my friend Adam Freeman, he was basically helping. Like he was acting in the movie, but he was also doing location scouting and finding locations. He was also filling roles that needed to still be filled because of, you know, people dropping out and all that. So he pulled me in last minute, and it was a huge challenge because I kind of have like memory problems. So whenever I work on a script, it's like I'm all in. Like I really have to work on it. It's a very hard challenge for me because technically I've had a stroke in the memory part of my brain a while ago, like some time ago. And I always had kind of trouble memorizing things anyhow. So it's a challenge, but like I feel like I went into that project and I just tried to focus on what we were going to film that day, the night before, and I got it under control. Like I did it, you know what I mean? And that was such a huge accomplishment for me. But also whenever I went to the premiere and I got to see it, I brought my best friend Leslie. This was in Nashville that they had the premiere, and just to see it on the big screen and see like what I actually did, I was so proud that like I was able to become that character and truly emote under the pressures of trying to remember the lines with such short notice. So that's one of the movies I am so proud of, like definitely.
Yeah, awesome.
But there's so many, like I've done so many now.
I know. I was looking at your IMDb, which I encourage everyone to kind of follow and keep up, because there's a ton of stuff either filming or in post production, and a lot of stuff to look forward to coming from you. So it's pretty exciting. So
It really is, and I hope to. I feel so blessed to be a part of this industry and to be so welcomed. Like everybody has been so good to me. They see my work and then they're just like, "Hey, will you be a part of my project? Check it out. Here's the script." You know, like people are coming to me from left and right, and I hate to be like point this out, but I see a lot of other people, actors and actresses, that are having so much of a harder time getting work. And so
Yeah.
I'm so lucky and so blessed that I have had the opportunities to have the connections that I've had and the ease that I've had getting in and continuing to work. And I hope that it continues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fingers crossed. But I'm really hoping that this, because my goal is to do a movie a month, and I've been doing that pretty consistently this year. That was my New Year's resolution: movie a month. I want to do a movie a month. Like that's my goal. And I've been doing that. And so for next year, my New Year's resolution is going to be leads, all leads, movie a month. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Because I do a lot of supporting actress
Sure.
roles, and they're very valuable to me. You know, like because I learned so much from the leads, and just to be around them and just to quietly watch as they work, I take so much from it. Like that audition that I did yesterday. It's just so interesting to see how other people work and what their process is and how they go about things. And I feel like I've had a whole like education this year on how to be the top lead in indie horror. You know what I mean? Like I know that's like really boisterous and like, you know, crazy to say, but like I want to be the best that I possibly can be, and I want to do the most work that I possibly can and continue to be a part of this community, because this community has been so open and welcoming to me, and I've never felt so at home with any other project or any other type of work that I've done. And it's awesome. I love it.
Well, it's a great time to be involved too, because I feel like now and it's been this way for several years now, but it's so much easier for a filmmaker to kind of realize their vision affordably, than it
Yeah.
was back in the day. So yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all that stuff. Now I'm going to kind of got a couple general questions and we'll kind of wrap things up. But
Okay.
I want to encourage everyone, go to jessadoesitall.com. Check out her social media stuff, because it's really awesome, kind of fun to watch all the stuff you're doing. It seems like you're somewhere different every day almost.
I do travel a lot. It's a lot for work, but as far as like the acting goes, but I like to travel anyways. Like it's kind of my thing. But I find a lot of opportunities just traveling and talking to people. Whenever I was in massage school, I was just massaging somebody, and she's like, "So you think you're gonna work here after this?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just getting this, to have like under my, under my wing, like so I can do whatever I need to do later on." But I'm actually an independent actress, and she hooked me up with a director in her hometown, and I've been talking to him about working with him. So it's like the more you just get out there and talk to people and tell them like what you're doing and what your goals are, the more they help you realize them.
Yeah, it's definitely all networking. You can
everything is in life.
Spread your branches out.
Absolutely.
Well, one thing I wanted to talk about social media wise is I know you do a lot of modeling too. What's kind of your favorite parts of doing that?
Modeling is, I will say, so stressful. Like, somebody asked me a long time ago, they were just like, "You love being in front of the camera." And I do. But the whole build up to getting in front of the camera is the most stressful day. Like, I have to get up super early. I have to just make, like, I spray tan myself, and it's got to be even, and my hair's got to be up so it doesn't get colored by the spray tan. Like, the makeup process, the hair, getting my hair done, all of that goes into it. Like, it just builds this just like nervous anticipation until like I'm finally doing the work and I'm taking the pictures, and then it's fine. But it can be quite stressful. But it's something I've always done. I've modeled since the beginning of. I started modeling in high school. My mom had a photography company, and she used me for a lot of the ads and stuff like that. So I started with that. And my mom actually modeled when she was in high school for big names, actually.
Oh,
so
cool.
she was able to kind of give that knowledge to me on how to pose and all of that. I think I could totally teach a class on how to pose. Like that's something I've looked into that before, because I feel like a lot of people want to get into modeling and they just don't really know how to like hold their bodies and to like show confidence and all of that. But I don't know, my favorite kind of modeling is just probably pretty boring, classic, like lingerie. Like it makes me feel so pretty. And, and just whenever I get the pictures back, I'm always shocked that it's me. Like, I'm just like, that's me? Like, my goofy ass? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm so goofy in real life. And so whenever I see myself in that light, like, it's so rewarding to just experience that, but also monetarily, like, beneficial, because, like, I can post that stuff on my OnlyFans and make a living. So I do have the time to be able to work on my scripts and, you know, I don't have to, I quit my salon job last fall to do acting pretty much full time. And it's been a joy. And the only reason that I'm able to do that is because of OnlyFans, because OnlyFans takes care of me in the meantime. Like, you know what I mean? Like I get paid to do these movies, and I have a day rate, you know, that for showing up on set and knowing my lines and doing the best that I can. But that doesn't cover the month prior that I've started working on the script and memorizing it. And I have an acting coach and going over there and like working with him on stuff. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't cover all that time. So luckily I have this awesome platform where people can kind of see in on my life. And I don't just post, I would like to just say, like, on my OnlyFans, like I am constantly posting like super quality content. Like I'm very proud of like the content that I put out there, but also I'm one that I noticed that because I you know, I subscribe to other girls, you know, because I like the woman's body just as much as anybody else. And I noticed that people, they don't really give a lot of their personal life. Like I do a lot of blog posts with my updates, and I kind of let people know like, hey, this is what my next project is. This is what I did last week. This is where I'm going. Like, and I feel like people really value that, like that just to be able to know what their favorite model slash actress slash performer in general, what she's doing, what she's up to, and you know what's going on in my life. So I also like to have that outlet, like with the spy cams, like what we were talking about. Like I like to be able to share my life with other people. It's always made me feel like I have like a family out there, you know what I mean? Like, not that I don't have a family, but I am an only child from an only child mother, you know, that's single. So, and you know, it's just like, I've always kind of been alone, like not to sound like depressing or anything, but I've always had like, I've been a loner and I'm an introvert. So it's a way for me to share myself with others in a way that is appreciated and, you know, compensated for, you know what I mean? So I love doing it.
Yeah, I think there's great value there too. I think people would want more than just photos or video. You know, that content and that info about you is pretty important piece to that. So
absolutely,
yeah,
mix it all in, give it to them all.
Yeah. So I saw this on your, I think, Instagram the other day. Myself, as a 4-year vegetarian, I saw you kind of went the plant-based route. So how's that been?
Really easier than it was. Okay, so I've been a vegan off and on for 10 years. I used to, in high school, I was super duper uber serious about veganism. Like, I was just like reading all the instructions. Okay, I'm gonna say that I'm not vegan at this time, because
Right.
vegan implies that like it's all about, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's all about the animals
Sure.
and safety of the animals, and I do believe that like to bring less suffering into my body through food is a great thing. You know, like
Hmm.
why would I want to eat something whenever there's another option? You know what I mean, as far as suffering goes. But that's not my main concern. My main concern is health at this time,
Right.
because I have grown more and more lactose intolerant. And then also, I just wanted to take a break from meat for a while just to see what that was like again as well, because I always felt like I had more energy whenever I was plant based. So I've been doing that for, I think it's almost a month now. And I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to go. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I certainly don't have the stomach problems that I was having from the dairy, but
Right.
also I feel like meat sort of like weighs you down
Hmm.
in a way that like is just kind of icky. I do think I will go back to eating seafood eventually, but I'm gonna see where this takes me. Like, I'm doing it one day at a time. I'm kind of also doing a cleanse right now too, just because the last couple of months I've been just partying and traveling and eating and going all out, you know what I mean? And just doing too much, I feel like, and it's been making me feel groggy and stuff. And
Yeah.
so that's what started it. But now I just want to say, like, it is so easy to be vegan now. Like, there's
Hmm.
so many options. There's so many places that you can go to get vegan cheese on pizza. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's so cool. And I went to a restaurant in Nashville the other day that had like traditional country cooking. And it had like baked mac and cheese. You know what that is?
Hmm.
It's a delicacy.
Yeah.
Vegan, okay, vegan,
Wow.
collard greens. There was no like pieces of fat from like, ham in it.
Hmm.
Amazing. There was cornbread, oh, to die for, and Nashville hot vegan chicken.
Nice.
It was wow. Like, so like now every time I go somewhere, well, in the last month, and I kind of did this before, being a person that used to be vegan and be serious about it. Whenever I would travel, I'd be like, I just want to check out a vegan restaurant and see what they're doing these days. You know what I mean? And I'm never disappointed. But now I just feel like it's so easy to do. There's a great vegan restaurant in town called Flourish. I
Hmm.
just had my first meal from there the other day, and I was like, "What? Like, I've been like missing out on this. Like,
I have not been there yet. I need to get over there.
you need to get over there. You need to
And the
get over
place
there.
in the place in Nashville, I'm pretty sure I've been to that place too. So
It's kind of like in a house.
yes, yes, it had like two tables or something.
Yeah,
I think yes,
yeah,
yes,
that's
I've been
exactly
there.
what it was. And they had like 90s R&B playing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
place
It
was.
was excellent.
They had a bunch of desserts too, but I was so full that like I think that the next time I'm in Nashville, I'm just definitely gonna go there and like get one of each of the desserts just to
Yeah,
try it.
yeah. I don't know if this question is for me or you, but do you miss bacon cheeseburgers? If
Do I
I
miss
ever need a cheeseburger, I get the Impossible Burger. So
I
I'm good there.
do. It hasn't been that long since I have cut out the bacon and the cheeseburger, but I do enjoy a bacon cheeseburger. I do. I'm not gonna mess around with that question. Like, I love I love fast food. Like, I can talk about fast food, oh, like forever, because I'm always on the go. So I'm always like, all right, let me pull into
Yeah,
Burger King or whatever. Wendy's is one of my favorites. But Impossible burgers are quite good. They are really quite good. And I also
yeah.
like a black bean burger.
I do. Yeah, I do too. I'm a big Red Robin fan because you can do the Impossible Burger on any of their burgers. So
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I just blew your mind.
Well, do you know where Brew Burger is?
Yeah.
Okay, I go there a lot, and they have the Impossible, I think it is, and they also have a black bean burger,
Okay.
and they're phenomenal. So I probably will go there like after this and have one. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Uh, All right, my last question is actually a food question too, and this may just be kind of um, meaningful for us, but what's the best local restaurant in the Evansville area?
Local
And
restaurant.
we'll go pre your plant based.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bonefish.
Okay.
Bonefish. Okay, so I've always kind of been a pescatarian. Like I've never liked much meat. Like when I would eat like a cheeseburger, it'd be like a once every 6 months to once a year thing where I just get like a hankering for a burger, you know? It's not
Yeah.
something I don't eat steak. I think it's gross. I think chicken is boring. Like it doesn't even have a flavor.
Yeah.
Like I mean like what? But I love seafood. So I would have to say that my favorite restaurant in this area is definitely Bonefish, and we're just gonna have to figure something out that they can serve me because
Yeah.
I mean they just do a really good job there. They
Yeah.
truly do. So it
I'm
might be Flourish now.
well, I've got to check them out. So,
You got
um,
to do.
I'm originally from Mount Vernon, so I guess I'm kind of like an honorary West Sider. So there was always some comfort, which I couldn't eat there now. Some comfort with the Hilltop Inn. Um, but also, I will say, anybody that's not from this area, because I think it's basically just in this area, people don't know the joy of Hacienda Ranch. So
Yes, like
that's its own food
what
group right
are they
there.
putting crack in it? Like what in the
Apparently,
heck? Like what is it that okay, so you're so right. Like I would just go and order Hacienda Ranch and then dip chips in it, which is not something I would normally do. That
I
seems so
I did that instead of their
ridiculous.
salsa. So
It's so good.
yeah, I don't know what they do to it, but
Have you tried the one where it's like I think it's either it's like avocado in it. It's like spicy avocado ranch.
yeah, I think so. I think I
My
had it.
friend had me try that after a play that I did. We all went out to Hacienda and I was blown away. But it's not on the menu anymore, so rest in peace.
Yeah, well, the ranch is still there at least. So.
It's just not for me.
Yeah, no, it's death. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I had. Actually, I was gonna say, I hope your film career continues to rise and grow.
Thank
Um,
you.
Although you may never rise to the heights of that criminal and the jail guard that got busted here in town. That's like the biggest story to come out of town ever. So
Oh my God. And people are trying to stay in the room.
yeah, they had
Well, I
like
mean,
70 people on the waiting list. So
well, good for them. You know, I'm a follower of true crime as well. So I do sort of understand, you know,
speaking of
but
that, so am I, and I bought this a few years ago. I have a piece of the fireplace from Sharon Tate's house.
what?
So, but I also have.
Sorry, I got a phone
Oh,
call.
you're good. You're good. Also have a piece of the tail light from the Casey and Vicky White car. So,
Casey and Vicky White.
it's the people that got busted, that got flipped.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah. I'm a dork.
That's still
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's a definite that's a cool collection for sure.
Well, yeah. So, Slasher Home Video here is asking if you're going to be at Scarefest in October in Lexington.
Okay, I am considering it. Okay, because I was planning on going to Exotica, because I've always wanted to go to an Exotica convention, in New Jersey, but Scarefest is just in Lexington, and
Yep.
I'm thinking about maybe getting a table there and selling my wares. And also, whenever I did Days of the Dead, I got all these cool ideas of things that I can sell, like. I noticed people like that were indie producers. They weren't just selling their movies. They would sell like older copies of horror movies and stuff, like just at a separate little area. I also have like, I was interested in selling collars because I love a good collar. And that's sort of like, I feel like goes along with the horror genre. But I was going to pick some of those up and sell those as well. But I think that there's a lot of things that I could add to my table that I could really like turn it out, like for sure.
Definitely.
And I'm thinking about getting t-shirts made too. I'm not sure what I'll put on them. I feel like that is the ultimate most narcissist thing to do, is to put yourself on a t-shirt. But I have a friend, Sushi Savette, that did it, and her t-shirts they sell like hotcakes.
Awesome.
I mean, she's really sexy, and she's like turned around backwards and
Yeah.
you know, she's looking good on that t-shirt. But I think that I might try something like that. And also, you know, Sticker Mule, the company, I got my stickers from them, and I was selling those at the con. And they sent me, weirdly enough, a hot sauce that's called the Mule Kick-Ass sauce. And I think that what they're trying to do is show me that I can put myself on a hot sauce and sell it. And I'm thinking about, if that's an option, doing that, like getting a photo shoot done where I'm like I'm like a devil, like a hot red devil, and then making my own hot sauce, like, and marketing that and selling that as well. So I think there's a lot of ways that you can make money, as like, I've been calling them con carnies. I don't know if that's like PC, but that's how I felt. Like, I want to be a con carny. Like, that's what I want to be. So I'm thinking about going to Scarefest. I haven't made my mind up completely yet. Like, I'm trying to figure out if I really want to do that, or if I want to try Exotica for the first time. But I'm leaning towards Scarefest at this time.
Well, I can tell you there will be a big bunch of my fellow YouTubers there. So
really,
I'm sure I can send them to your table and buy some of your stuff. So, and it's
so
so weird you were talking about mule sauce, because I just was looking at the coaster I had my drink on.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that from Sticker Mule? It is.
Yep.
So are they trying to make a hot sauce, or are they just trying to show you like other things that you can put your image on?
I don't know, honestly. They just sent me that. I had some stickers from them with the logo, and they sent that with it. So I didn't get any hot sauce, but
I got a hot sauce, and it's actually really good. It's very, very good.
Nice.
So if I can put my image on that and sell that, I'd be proud to sell that. Like, it tastes great.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all I have. Again, I want to promote Jessa Does It All your links. Everybody check all that stuff out.
It's got my IMDb. It's got my, I have like a backup Instagram account. It's on there. I also have an Instagram account for like my makeup artistry, because I do that too. And I also put like my hair, because I still do hair and makeup. I just do it at people's homes usually. And then I work out of a friend's home salon. So I still do it all. Like, Jessa does truly do it all. But yeah, you can find out anything you want about me there, find out how to contact me, etc. And let's make magic happen.
Awesome. For this channel, we'll be back Friday night, 8 p.m. Central, with the greatest documentary of all time, Elimination Tournament. So check that out, 8 p.m. Central, Friday night. And I want to thank everybody that's out in the chat with your questions. And yeah, I want to thank you again, Jessa, for being on.
Thank you for having me. I had such a great time.
It was great. I'm glad you did. And until I see you guys again Friday night,